Hello, everyone. This is going to be the introductory video for Math 91. This is called Math Literacy. So my name is Kevin Marks. You can call me Professor Marks, Mr. Marks, whatever you feel comfortable with. Basically, today what we're going to go over in this video is kind of how the class works in general, especially how this whole online internet class is going to go, which may be a new thing for some of you, especially in a math class. And what we're going to do here mostly is check out the syllabus. Okay. So the syllabus was emailed to you. So if you saw this link in the email for this video, then hopefully you also saw the syllabus, which is attached. If you want to print it out, you can, but you really don't need to, right? But, we can just kind of look at it on the screen here as we go through it. Okay, so again, my name is Kevin Marks. You had email, phone number, all that good stuff is on there. The delivery mode for this class is obviously online. How is that going to work? Wait, we'll get there. Office hours, these are in case you have other classes or if you want to come in person, these are the times that I will be in my office, like physically in my office. So if you want to come during those times, great. I will also be available for Google Meets. So if you want to meet with me, online or whatever, I will definitely be available at those times. I'll also be available a lot of other times. So honestly, your best bet is to just send me an email and we can set something up. Okay. I also have a link on the D2L. If you guys know what I mean by that, we'll get there in a minute if you don't. But there will be a link on D2L where you can schedule an appointment, virtually, through Google Meets as well. Okay. But in person, room 2302, that's where my office is. Okay. So this class is a 5 credit hour class. So basically what that means is we would spend normally, if this were an in-class time, actual seat time, we would be spending 5 hours a week in class. Okay. How does that translate to an online? Wait, we'll get there. The prerequisite, you can kind of read over that, but the main thing I do want to mention what this class is all about, kind of the prereq and the course description here together. What this class is all about is this is a specially designed class for those people who are non-STEM majors, right? So not science, technology, engineering, and math, right? So, your major requires you more advanced math, this class won't help you, right? But let's be honest, if you're in this class, most likely you took some sort of placement test or, you were advised by an advisor to be in this class to hopefully get you to completion, whatever your major happens to be. Most people are going to take one college level math class after this one. So like your math 112 or 115, whatever that means later on. But that's what this class is designed for, is to get you prepared for that actual college level math class. Okay. To be perfectly honest with you as well, there is probably going to be nothing in this class that is completely 100% brand new to you, right? So what this class is designed to do is to get the cobwebs off some of the math you have seen before, or kind of take all the ideas that you've seen before, your misconceptions, and streamline it so that it's more user-friendly so that you can use it in your actual college level math class, that 112 or 115 when you get there, right? So kind of keep that in mind. Also, a lot of people have taken math before. You guys have all taken math before, obviously. But usually when you do a math class, a lot of times, the teacher just rambles on, right? Whenever you go on, you learn some new stuff. And then you go home and you do a bunch of homework problems just over and over again doing the same thing, We're going to try to avoid that here. What this is more about is more hands-on, playing around with it, making sure that the concepts work for you, right? So it's not just, hey, I know how to do it, but do you know how to do it? And can you explain it? Right? And can you then apply it elsewhere, right? It's more about making the concepts workable so you can use them, not just memorizing, when I see this type of problem, this is what I do, right? That's what math lit or literacy is all about. Okay. So kind of keep that in mind as we go through the rest of the course, right? It's hopefully going to streamline and get rid of your misconceptions that you've had from previous math endeavors. Okay. So what are you going to need here? As far as to get through the class, there is a textbook for this class. You don't need it. We're not going to be using the actual textbook. But what you are going to need to get is this software, right? There's another video. You probably saw the link for it. It's called My Math Lab, and that will walk you through how to sign up and walk you through how to use it a little bit more. Okay. But the main thing here is you got to make sure you get that software. Okay. Just quickly, how do you get that? You can buy it directly from the website, which I'll show you on the other video. Okay. Or you can, if you if you opted into that book bundle from the bookstore, and you've already paid for it, right? Then you got to go get that bundle from the bookstore, or you can go to the bookstore and pay for it directly. But if you go through the bookstore, you have to get it with the book itself. And then what you're looking for is it comes with a card, and that card has an access code. All we really need is that access code. Okay. So if you got the book bundle, or you want to go to the bookstore and pay a little bit more technically individually for it, you can do that. Or you can buy it directly from the website. It's up to you, right? If there's any questions on what that means, because I know some people have different, questions of how that actually works out, come talk to me, right? Just don't be afraid. Constantly email me, whatever. We can figure that out, okay? But how to sign up for it and get up and running, that's what that other MyLab video is for. Okay. Another thing you're going to need is a calculator. Okay. Well, actually, you don't need a calculator, right? There's nothing in this class that's going to require you to use a calculator, but I highly recommend one. Any calculator will work. I put this one on here just because, it's a pretty user-friendly one, right? It's not too overly complicated. It does everything that you need. Okay. But any calculator will work. Okay. So keep that in mind. If you are in school, right, if you're not totally online and you wanted to, you can actually borrow one from the library. Us starting 2 weeks late or later than a normal students, like throughout the fall here, they may be gone right already. I don't know, right? You'd have to go check, but it is possible you could borrow one from the library, just like checking out a book. You go there with your ID and you can check out a book, or you can check out a calculator, right? There is that option. Okay. Basically, what's going to go into your grade? Everyone's concerned about that. We're going to break these categories down a lot here, but there's the worksheets, quizzes, homework, tests, and finals, right? The major point here is make sure that you see that the majority of the points are in the test and the final, right? 35 and 15. That's, a pretty good chunk, right? So 50% of your grade is just in the test and the final, which the final is basically another glorified test at the end, right? So huge amount of points are dedicated just to your test, okay? The worksheets, the quizzes, and the homework, those are your day-to-day grind, right? That's the stuff where you're really working on the material, getting used to the material, diving deeper into the material, exploring it, getting wrong answers, correcting those answers, and, getting a better feel for what's going on so that ultimately you can get to the tests, right? I mean, everybody has, not everybody, but most people have test anxiety. You get to a test, you panic, right? Like, oh, I don't even know what to do. If that happens to you, then that means you didn't put enough effort in the worksheets, quizzes, and homework, right? This is your day-to-day grind of getting used to the ideas. And if you work hard enough in the worksheets, quizzes, and homework, when you get to the test, it shouldn't be, oh man, what am I doing? No, it should be, oh, sweet, I just did this. I know exactly what I'm doing, right? It's, tests should be an awards ceremony, not a, something to panic over, right? Because you should be prepared and ready to go, and it should be easy. I mean, ultimately, okay? But it is what it is. Okay. So, and then the grading scale, pretty obvious, right? 90s an A, 80s B, so forth and so on. Okay, so what's with this whole online thing? Okay, I got to be perfectly honest with you. If math is not your thing, if you're afraid of math, if you need to struggle with, or if you do struggle with math, or if you're not really a dedicated, hardworking kind of person, this is not the class for you. I'm going to tell you this right now, okay? Online is probably the worst way to learn math if math is not your thing. Straight up, right? And also, this is a late start or later the class, so we've already missed 2 weeks. So you're learning the same amount of material as everybody else in a shorter period of time, and it's going to require you to do even more work on your own. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If math is not your thing, it's not good. I wouldn't do this if I were you, if math is not your thing, right? Because in a normal class, when you're in person, right, you have to meet, say you meet on Monday and Wednesday or whatever. You have to get certain stuff done by Monday. You're going to go to class and you're going to get this stuff done in class. Yes, basically being in class keeps you on pace, okay? Whereas when we're doing this stuff online, there's no in-class material here to keep you on pace. You have to keep pace on your own, okay? There's going to be a lot that goes into it. There's going to be videos to watch. There's going to be worksheets to work on. There's going to be homework to work on. There's going to be quizzes. And all that, basically it's going to be set up, you'll see, in week chunks. So there's going to be structure to it for sure. But When and how you go about doing that throughout the whole week is entirely on you. There's no in class to force you to come to class, to force you to, concentrate it at this particular time. You got to force yourself to make sure you're watching the videos. You got to force yourself to make sure you're working on the worksheets. You got to force yourself to make sure you're uploading to the discussion panels. We'll talk about that later. You're going to have to force yourself to finish the homework, to finish the quizzes, right? To get things done. So if you're a self-dedicated person and you got high discipline, great. If you don't have a high discipline and you got to be honest with yourself here, this might not be the class for you. Okay. One thing I do want to mention here as well. Again, I don't want to scare you too much, but I kind of have to a little bit. Again, this is a 5 credit hour class. So what that means is in a normal, face-to-face, we would be spending 5 hours of in-class time. Okay. Any college class, but especially math class, what they recommend you spend twice as much outside of class, doing homework, studying, blah, blah, blah. So for this, that's 10 hours outside of class, okay? So we don't actually have in class, right? But if you put that together, 5, 10, 15, you're looking at roughly 15 hours a week working on just this class, right? So that's doing all this stuff, watching videos, worksheets, homework, quizzes, the whole, uploading stuff on the discussion panels, things like that, right? But that's a lot. Is it really going to take 15 hours per week? Probably not, but everybody's different, okay? But if you're starting to fall behind and you're not turning in the stuff and you ask yourself, did I really spend 15 hours this week? Well, there's your problem right there, right? That's your benchmark, right? So if you can get it done in less, great, right? If it takes you more, hopefully not, but it's possible. But that's kind of where you should be looking at, 15 hours a week just in this. Maybe even more, because remember, we're 14 weeks instead of 16. So it is what it is. Okay. But anyway, let's talk about how like a pattern for how this typical week would work. Like, so how does this online procedure work? Okay. So at the beginning of the week, there's going to be a bunch of introductory videos, sometimes only one, sometimes two, but just try to make them short, right? But they're introductory videos getting you used to the ideas. Okay. Then throughout the week, you're going to work on the worksheet on your own. Okay. Then what you're going to do is you're going to discuss the worksheet with your peers and me on the discussion panels that you'll see up on D2L. Okay. We'll talk more about how you can do that in the other D2L video. Okay. And then you're going to complete the homework assignments. Okay. So throughout the whole week, you're going to be working on the worksheets, talking about it on these discussion panels on D2L, completing the homework assignments. Okay. Then by the end of the week, make sure you turn in that worksheet, and then there's going to be a short quiz on D2L, right? So it's all about beginning of the week, watch the videos, work on this stuff, work on the worksheets, work on the discussion panels, work on the homework, right? And then hopefully by the end of the week, finish the worksheet, turn it in, take a short little quiz to wrap up the week, right? So that's how a typical week would go, okay? You can kind of read over this, but basically how the worksheets are going to work, it'll walk you through how to get all this stuff on the other D2L video as well. Okay. But you're going to have to open up the worksheets. Some people, if you know how to work and on the computer and you know how to edit a PDF, because everything's going to be in PDF. If you know how to do that, great. Okay. If you want to print it out and do it on a piece of paper and then be able to turn it back in, that's fine too, whatever works for you. If you want to use a separate sheet of paper for the worksheets, you can, but I wouldn't recommend doing that because there's going to be a lot of graphs and you have to graph things right on the picture. So that's not the most feasible option, but it is possible. Okay. Honestly, your best bet is hopefully if you have a printer, right? If you sign up for an online class, I hope you have a printer, right? Because you're just going to be, that's probably your best bet is printing it out, doing it on the paper itself, and then you can upload it. How do you do all that uploading stuff? I'll show you in the other D2L video. Okay. Okay. So the worksheets, you're going to probably want to print those out, work on them. Now, normally in class, like if we were in a normal face-to-face class, we would be working on the worksheets in class. That's what we would do in class. We don't have that option here since this is an online. Okay. So to compensate for that working, give and take between you, me, and other students, you are going to participate in discussion panels discussing the worksheets. Okay. So basically the way it's going to work, each worksheet is going to be worth 10 points. Okay. well, actually total of 15, right? But 10 points for the actual work on the worksheets. And then, you submit it and you'll get up to 10 points for the worksheets. Okay. But then there's going to be another 5 points for participating in the discussion panels. Okay. Now, in order to earn the full points for the discussion panels, you got to post at least 2 posts per worksheet. Okay. So you need to one post where you start a new topic where, now that new topic could be, hey, I know how to do problem 1, or I know how to do problem 5, or I have an idea about this, but I'm not really sure. What do you guys think? Something relevant to the worksheet in any way, shape, or form. Even if it's, wow, this problem is really hard. What do you guys think? Okay, let's try to avoid that. But I mean, worst case, that would be fine. But anything, right? Just it's something to do with the worksheet. You got to start a new topic. Okay. Also, you're going to want to, or you're going to have to respond to someone else's post. Okay. Now, please, I mean, the whole point of the discussion panels is to discuss, right? So you can discuss as much as you want. You can post 100, you can post 10, you can post as many as you want. Okay. But in order to earn that minimum 5 points, you have to have a minimum of 2 posts per worksheet, right? So a brand new one of your own, and you have to respond to at least one other person's post. Now, your response to other people's posts could be, hopefully, hey, I had a problem with this one too. This was what I tried. Okay. Or someone else posed a question. They're not sure how to do this. And you're like, oh, I totally know how to do that. This is how we can check it out. Right. So again, 2 posts, hopefully more, but 2 posts, one of your own, one responding to somebody else. Okay. All right. Now, again, in a stereotypical week, again, you watch the videos at the beginning, hopefully work on the worksheets throughout the week. Okay. The discussion panel posts ideally should be completed by Friday. Okay, so you can do it again. It's up to you, right? All week long. Hopefully, sooner the better. Get on this stuff, discuss throughout the week, blah blah blah. But in order to earn full credit, you got to have your discussion panel post up by Friday. Okay, that way, people have time to go back and take all the discussions and go back and finish the worksheets so that you can submit it by Sunday. Right. So think a stereotypical week is the beginning of it. You watch the videos throughout the week, you work on it. Hopefully by Friday, discuss it throughout the whole week up to Friday on the discussion panels. And then hopefully you can finish it all and submit it by Sunday. Right. Basically each week, think Sunday. That's when everything is due. Right. Except for the discussion panel. So when in doubt, if everyone's like, oh, I don't know when something was due. Yes, you do. I'm telling you right now, just about everything in this class is going to be due the Sunday of that week that we were working on it, except for the discussion panels. Make sure those are done by Friday. Okay. Each section is also going to have its own homework assignment that you're going to be working on throughout the whole week. Okay. If you want to post things on the discussion panels about the homework too, right? If you want to do that, that's fine. But the main thing about the discussion panels was about the worksheets. Okay. The homework technically should be worked on throughout the whole week. And ideally, whatever sections we're working on that week, ideally should be done by Sunday, at midnight, so that you can move on to the next week. But in case you don't finish it or you're having problems and you need to come and seek help or whatever, right? Technically, the homework assignments aren't technically due until the day of the test for that associated, unit. Okay. And then at the end of each week, there will a normal non-test week. There's going to be a short quiz to kind of wrap everything up. And again, you can do that throughout the whole week whenever you like, but I would highly recommend finish the worksheet. Check out the discussion panels, making sure you have an idea. Check out the homework. Do all of that first. Then if you're like, okay, I'm pretty confident with this ideas, then you would go and do the quiz. But again, you have technically until the Sunday to do it all. Okay. Or at least to finish it. And then let's do this real quick. Let me skip down here to kind of. So you can see like the schedule, we're going to try to stick to the schedule as much as we can, but I can't guarantee it, right? By no means. But like I said, kind of putting it all together, the way the stereotypical week will go is at the beginning of the week, watch the worksheets, work on the worksheet throughout the week, work on the discussion panels with your peers and me on the D2L, work on the homework throughout the week. Okay. By Friday, then you would hopefully, finish the discussion panel stuff. And then by Sunday, turn in the worksheet. And by Sunday, hopefully finish the homework. and then take the quiz on D12 to finish it. And then the next week we do the same thing, right? The next week, then you would watch the videos, work on the worksheets, discussion panels, homework, quiz, then repeat again. And you keep doing that until we get to the test week. Okay. All right. So now how the test week is going to work. During the week of the test, we won't have any worksheets. I'll open up a discussion panel, but I'm not going to force a discussion panel there. I mean, maybe we could. I don't know. We'll adjust as needed. But the main thing in the test week is going to be there's going to be a review packet. There'll be videos about the review packet, right? I'll give you guys a chance to work on it, and then we'll have a video that kind of goes over it all, whatever. But it's also during that week, you're going to have a chance to finish up any of the missing homework that you haven't done from that week or from that unit, and then we'll get to the test. Okay. Now, the tests themselves are going to have two parts. Okay. So basically they're going to look like one part's going to look just like the worksheets where you're going to have to print it out, do it on paper, or if you know how to adjust a PDF, you can do that too. That's fine. But you're going to have to show all your work and then upload it back on D12 to get it graded, right? The other part is going to look just like a quiz on D12, just longer, right? Where it's going to be entirely on D12. It will be timed, and it'll be, on a certain day you'll have to do it, and you can do it anytime during the day, but it is timed, okay? So yeah, we'll talk more about the test when we get there, but just do keep in mind there's going to be two parts. One, you got to show all your work, piece of paper. Another one on D12 where they're mostly short answer, multiple choice, not a whole lot of work to be shown, but that one is timed. Okay. And then eventually, the way down at the end of the road, there will be a final. Okay. So the final will be cumulative. It's going to cover the entire semester. Okay. It's going to look just like a glorified quiz, only just much longer on D12. Okay. And again, we'll talk more about the final when we get closer, right? But that will be at the end. That will cover everything. Okay. Kind of the rest of this you can read over. Hopefully, pretty self-explanatory. The only thing I do want to mention is there is tutoring. Okay. Honestly, your best bet, come see me, right? If you can come to those office hours in person, great. If you have questions, don't be afraid to email me. It's a lot of times we'll be able to answer the questions through email. We could set up a Google Meet where we meet one-on-one or maybe small groups. If people want to do that, that's great too. We can set that up. But honestly, your best bet is come see me. Okay. They also have tutoring, right? So if you're in class or you're in person and you're in the building, you can go to the Student Success Center and actually meet one-on-one with a tutor. They also have online tutoring as well. But that's the website there that you could check out for the tutoring through the Student Success Center. It's up to you, right? But I think that's the basic gist of how this is hopefully, help explain how the online is going to work. Okay. All of this stuff is going to be available on D12, and on the D12, the other video on D12 is going to walk you through how you access all this, right? But hopefully this just explains how the process works. Okay. Well, let me know if you have any questions, and we'll go from there.